Two Poor Bastards contains explicit content and drunken ramblings. Listener discretion is advised. You are listening to Two Poor Bastards, where two friends get drunk, talk whiskey, and their favorite pop culture obsessions. This is Eric.
This is Kyle.
This is John.
Welcome. We are going to be covering Knob Creek Single Barrel Rye, a select from the West 7th Liquor Barrel, and we're going to be talking about, I think, everyone's favorite movie in this room, or one of the tops, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. So let's get off with the whiskey. Tell us a little bit about it.
All right, so the whiskey we have here is a single barrel store pick from, of course, our favorite place, West 7th Liquor Barrel. And this one here is 115 proof, so it's a little hotter than your normal one. And it comes with a little cool tag here that gives us all the information on it. So on the tag that comes with it, it says it was selected by Liquor Barrel staff. It lets us know when it was barreled, so when the whiskey was put in the barrel, which is 11/5/12, which November 5th is my birthday. So it was put in the barrel on my birthday. And then it was selected by the staff on 2/15/18, so it's 5 years, 3 months old. And it even goes down to tell us the barrel number, what warehouse it was stored in, which floor, which rack, and which tier. So at the store when I went to pick it up, they actually have a map of the warehouse that it was in, and it shows the exact location. So this one was actually on the top floor, towards the outside. So thinking about that, that's not the most ideal place for a barrel selection. Typically the sweet spot's right in the middle, dead center. But then again, since it's not very old, just a little bit over 5 years old, being on the outside edge, especially on the top floor, where there's even more wild temperature swings, could help towards aging it for it not being as old as it is.
Gotcha. Well, let's get into sniffing it.
Give it a smell here. So I'm
if
right
you
away.
can actually smell out of your glass because you were having your technical difficulties earlier.
I get a little swass, but I think that's my unclean glass.
Yeah, this glass smells like glass, so nothing.
But what's
I love
inside?
But for the inside part, I do get a little heat. I took a big inhale earlier, and it did make me cough a little bit.
Yep.
Because it's a higher proof. A little bit of spices, pepper, a little bit of vanilla.
Brown sugar?
Definitely brown sugar. Something a little on the fruity side, too.
I smell a little like
my hand.
leather.
It smells like spaghetti.
I get a little leathery kind of sweet leather, maybe.
Some musk.
I don't think I smell a knob or a creek out of this.
I don't either. Even if a knob was dipped in a creek, it would smell like this.
Is that a euphemism for something, or
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, let's go with the tasting then.
So immediately it's bright in the back of my mouth.
Very.
Again, I'm getting more of the spicy, peppery thing that you get out of it, but of course it's a rye whiskey. Those things are going to stick out more often than other ones. I don't know what the mash bill is on something like this, but I'd suspect it's more rye than something that we've encountered, say, from Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
Jim Beam is the parent company of Knob Creek here. I don't know what they use for rye. But My guess is definitely more than the minimum of 51%.
It's not quite like a face full of like black pepper, but it's definitely spicy in that regard, where it's got a little bit. It's not like a cinnamon spice. It's definitely like ground pepper.
Yeah, that kind of pepper, not like hot pepper.
Right, exactly.
That kind of thing.
Just to clarify.
But it's not like menthol and eucalyptusy like MGP rye, where they're 95% rye. It's not quite like that. Very warm. Like, this would be good on a cold-ass day.
Yeah. I'd say the finish is definitely a spicy, lasting...
I would say it's short but warm.
Short and warm. I'm described that way sometimes.
Little on the thin side. No, the finish on this isn't thin.
Maybe you can describe to me, when I'm drinking this, unlike other whiskeys, I sort of feel like I can feel the path that it's taking as it goes in my mouth. I know that sounds super weird, but it feels like it hits the tongue and goes up before it goes back. A lot of them just sort of like hot straight down the tongue into the throat. Do you get any of that? And what?
I definitely feel it's yes, the traveling.
Is it that it's just going up into my nose and I sort of feel it get intense up there?
I'd say that's probably due to the rye, where you are getting more spicy things, where it's hitting more areas, and you're tasting more and different things than you might be used to.
Activating different parts of your palate.
Right.
It's decent. I don't know if I'd buy another bottle. I mean, I kind of feel like I should, just because it was barreled on my birthday, and just to have it and say, here, I have this from this date. Kind of like the same thing, I want a bottle of Blanton's that was put in a bottled on my birthday. That'd be cool too, just because.
But wasn't this your first like over the hill birthday where you're saying like there's nothing left for you anymore kind of thing?
It's been like
year.
that the past 30-some years. Okay. There's definitely nothing else to look forward to besides the sweet release from this mortal coil.
Nothing better than a whiskey on the shelf to remind you that you will someday just fall into the grave.
Yes.
Right?
Hopefully it's rolled into a ditch. But once I'm gone, I don't really care. And if that makes it easy for everyone else, then by all means, just roll me right in.
I mean, what I'll do for you is I'll tie a bunch of bricks to you and just roll you over an overpass into a creek.
Okay.
Or
as long as it's not Knob Creek.
Or it could stuff you in a trunk.
Dicks.
Stuff you in a trunk, throw you in the pond, and then when we regret the decision, we shoot the lock open.
Oh.
I'm getting a little too far for myself, sorry.
As long as you don't ruin my face, we're good to go.
Would you want a Viking funeral?
Yes, I definitely would.
You and all of your earthly possessions go with you.
Much like they say in, what is it, Sunset Riders? Now I feel like an idiot because I should know right away. When I die, I'd just be like, bury me with my money.
All $25 of it.
Yes, my bank account won't be part of it. It'll just be things that I spent rather than putting the money into my bank account.
It's just a printout of your account with your bank because all your money's digital anyway. There's no cash involved here.
Yes, my statement reminding me on paper that I don't have any money.
That's a good idea. All right, do we have anything else to say about the whisk? It's decent. You would have it. You're not going to rush out and get another bottle. This is not something you have to have.
No, but if I was somewhere and say like a restaurant or something and their selection wasn't all that great, but they had something like this, I would definitely probably order it if I was at the restaurant. If there weren't better choices.
If there weren't better.
I am not a huge fan of anything Beam does until you get, to the Japanese side. now that Suntory owns them. But I'd say out of what they have, like, this is good. The best thing that I had was the Booker's Rye, but that's something completely different as it's not available anymore, and that was $300 a bottle.
Damn. Okay. So before we get into the main topic, how excited is everyone for One Punch Man Season 2?
I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if I'm as excited for that as I would be for the other show, Mob Psycho. That I tended to enjoy a little more than One Punch Man. But I'll definitely watch it.
I've not
But again,
seen...
it's not coming out till, what, 2020?
Just the fact that they're making... Half the time you watch these shows, they get a season, and then you never know if they'll ever come back again. So just the fact that they...
Or you get the rare one where at the last episode at the end, they're like, we're greenlit for another episode, or another season.
Yes.
Yeah, like, I mean, Berserk, Pop Team Epic both kind of did that at the very last moment. I feel like One Punch Man has just been sitting on the shelf for long enough that...
Yeah, well, and that was popular enough where I would expect another season in there to not be any kind of, back and forth on that decision.
And I don't know if it's just sort of a PR thing to make it seem like it's taking longer, so therefore it will be higher quality. I mean, we all know what quality the One Punch Man stuff's going to be. They aren't going to drop the ball on another season. It should be pretty sweet from beginning to end. They're aware.
Maybe it's taking so long because they're making it so much better.
I fucking hope so.
Although they did a really good job with the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, the animation was top quality. So
yeah, I didn't know what the hell I was getting into because I didn't know about the manga beforehand, so I just saw it on Netflix and...
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, but how much anime is on Netflix that they've dumped $500 million into anime? And
but
most
just
of the
in
stuff they have on there is garbage.
In a quick search, just looking at title screens, you can pretty much tell the trash from the gold.
One Punch Man had me on the fence until I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it, and I did not regret. It's a fantastic series.
Now the real question is, do you think that One Punch Man is just an evolution of Quail Man from Doug? Because that's what
Holy shit. I didn't even think of that.
That's kind of what it looked like from the beginning, just sort of like the amateur superhero kind of thing. And really his exercise regimen would make you believe maybe he is just
Quail Man.
Quail Man. Possibly. But he doesn't have a dog sidekick, so I...
Doesn't wear a belt around his head.
Right, so it's completely different then.
He's got still sort of the underwear look at him.
Yeah, it's true. I didn't think of that at all, but you're completely right.
It actually took me a moment to figure out.
I won't be able to watch it in the same light again.
Yeah, no shit. One of the things that I don't understand is in the beginning, and maybe they explain this in the manga, is how did he go bald?
He worked out so much that his hair fell out. That was an explanation that he gave in the series.
Okay, so it's been a while then. That's one thing. I remember him being regular dude, hair, suit, and then just deciding that he's going to be a hero. And then.
But what was the regimen? It was like 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups.
Running 10 miles.
And there
making sure that you have a good breakfast.
I think there was 100 of something else, too.
Shit, is that all it takes?
Yeah.
Apparently,
yeah. That's why his sidekick buddy is just completely baffled by it. He's just like, that's not even that hard to do.
Yeah, it isn't, no.
And then I'm sitting here looking at him like 100 sit-ups. Jesus, how long would it take me to do 100 sit-ups? It'd be the next day before I finished my first 100.
When do the sit-ups end at that point? It's just constantly doing sit-ups.
Right.
And you know what? That might do it. If you just do sit-ups and you don't stop. No, but you'd have to stop because your body has to recover, so that really wouldn't work.
Your body would just, at some point in time, give up.
So
that's where I'm at right now.
Do the sit-ups help with like his apparent like flying power? And the push-ups are for the punching, or
you really got to work on your core.
Yeah,
because that's where everything stems from, apparently.
Right.
Absolutely, core. That's like.
So I think it helps with all of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe that's the true secret. We have to punch from the gut.
Yes.
That it's all just a big metaphor.
You punch from the gut to the gut. for the gut.
Did you guys hear about the 4K restoration of Alien that they're going to be releasing?
I'm curious because now that the whole Disney Fox thing is going through,
Yes.
I wonder how many projects are going to be delayed or sidetracked, namely the ones that are R-rated, just in general, the franchises that are R-rated. So, like, I know that this one specifically will come out, but I'm wondering, like, in the future as they go, is it more likely to have other things happen, or are they just going to sort of shut it down?
No, because Disney's owned another studio that's released.
Well,
is it
DreamWorks.
Touchstone? I think they own Touchstone or something like that releases R-rated movies. They have a separate thing where they're able to...
They have Touchstone and Buena Vista and whatever, but like anytime I think of Touchstone, specifically the logo, I think of like E.T. is about to happen.
Yeah.
But that's, you know...
Some kid's going to dock fingers with an alien. And there's going to be a glow in there for some reason. Yeah, like DreamWorks. I mean, Gladiator was rated R, so...
Yeah, I think I'm not so worried as much as quality goes. I'm just curious, as you're saying, what projects are in maybe early stages of development that are going to kind of just maybe go away? Because it happened with... So they're changing Venom. So Venom was originally going to be released as a rated R movie. And now they knocked it down to PG-13, is what I've heard.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't going to be good to begin with,
Well,
I don't think. So.
With something like Venom, though, the source material is certainly dark, but I feel like anything that happened in comic books, I mean, it was still within sort of the Spider-Man universe. It was violent, but it wasn't like the R-rated violence of 2018 kind of thing.
Sure.
Like, the standards are very different now. But as far as Alien goes... I also kind of wonder with a 4K restoration, is it just going to make some of that old 1970s sort of special effects look a little bit funky?
So that's what I was going to bring up. I was like, how much better could it look? But...
So doing some research for, you know, some later episodes, like the restoration of Prince of Darkness is fucking top notch. But the restoration for Labyrinth is shit. So
Can't even imagine.
It's really super, like the grain is super apparent on it, which is supposed to be...
I want clear bulge when I'm watching that movie.
Yeah.
I don't want it to look like a Japanese porn. So it's like the grain is like acting as a mosaic.
Yeah, no, it doesn't, you know, it's like your plasma screen TV, like up close.
It's like, it is dithering.
It's dithering. Yeah. But, like, you sit comfortably.
It's a real word.
Yeah.
It's not a sexual term.
So I'm curious. I don't know, it seems like Ridley Scott's movies fare pretty well with restorations, like at least the early ones, so maybe.
Not all movies can be Predator. As
Well,
far as how good it looks, though.
Well, the first Predator Blu-ray that came out was just garbage. And that they had to re-release that whole thing because it just looked bad. I still got it on my shelf, the first one, but the new one is much, much better.
So do they...
I'd have to check that out.
Yeah.
Side by side.
There was something with the transfer in it, and you just sort of, you look at it, and the jungle is not very jungly. Like, you would think, putting that movie on Blu-ray, that it would look spectacular, but the first print that they made of it was just nowhere near what it should have been.
And that's like the third time it's been restored by that point. Because they did a restoration for DVD, and then, yeah, they'll probably redo it in 4K too.
What is this? Copying a copy on VHS where each time they do it, the quality goes down?
Yeah. Copy of a copy.
Okay,
no, it's the greatest thing. We copied it again. That's how that works. It gets better as you copy it.
Like, we made this copy off of something that wasn't so good, so let's accentuate what's awful in it.
Yes. Although there is a certain charm with, like, 80s VHS fuzz. Mm-hmm. Like, you just don't get that kind of warmth, maybe, anymore.
You know, playing with the tracking on your TV.
Yeah.
Is that still a thing? I mean...
Most people are like, what are you even talking about? No, that's not a thing. All right, so that's all the little tidbits that I had. So let's get into our main topic, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I guess I will set the plate with some of the facts of the movie. So it's considered a neo-noir black comedy crime film.
That's a mouthful.
That's a lot of stuff. So it's directed by Shane Black, which is his film debut. It's partially based on the Brett Halliday novel Bodies Are Where You Find Them. It interprets the classic hard-boiled literary genre in a tongue-in-cheek way. Well, shit, we can just go from there in reality. So I did a little bit of research in the background, and then I've got my notes from when we rewatched it. So just to kind of get my gut reaction, Kyle, I'll hand it off to you because this is your sweet baby.
So I love this movie, and when we watched it, it was your first time.
No, I've
right?
seen it.
Or you've seen it before.
I've seen it probably. That's probably like my 10th time I've seen it.
Oh, I don't.
You popped my cherry back in the day for this movie.
Where did I get that? I don't even remember how I first found out about it because I don't think it got a wide release in the theater.
It did not.
But I would have loved to fucking see it in the theater. I've watched it so many times that, that movie is a part of me at this point. But, there's something to be said about this movie, and our last episode, as we were closing out, we had mentioned that we were going to be doing this, I said that, I really attribute this movie to being the kickstart to Robert Downey Jr.'s current, superstar status.
Yes, but it's not his first movie comeback, because if you remember, the first movie he did after getting out of jail was What Dreams May Come, where he played a serial killer. Or In Dreams. It was In Dreams.
And I did not see that.
Yeah, he played the long hair, he had blue contacts in, I believe, longer hair, and he played a serial killer. The Robert Downey.
He got out of rehab in 2003, and
Something
then
like
this
that.
movie was 2006. So there isn't that much, room in between, and obviously, really knocked it out of the park. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Absolutely. So you're saying, continue, sir, please.
And then it's just the last that I have seen, at least the last great thing that Val Kilmer did.
Yeah, Val is. So I did some more research, what the fuck happened to Val Kilmer, because obviously he did this movie. He's done a few other things. So it is confirmed at this point that he had throat cancer, and initially he had reported as he had a healing of throat cancer. So he is a Christian Scientist.
Yes.
I didn't realize. So they don't believe in
would be.
doctors, I believe, is one of the things. They don't go to the doctor. They pray all of the stuff away.
So he was kind of taking the MCA path.
But he ended up actually doing it, going in and getting chemo and all that shit, but he was just denying it. So, and the thing now is, so he was doing a recent interview. He doesn't sound like a person anymore. He sounds like a weird, raspy robot. I think they've replaced his jaw, is what it looks like. If you see him, the skin around the bottom of his jaw is really loose, and his lip is always slightly droopy.
Is it sort of like the Roger Ebert kind
Yes,
of thing?
that was
Okay.
that was the immediate thing that I saw. He lost a bunch of weight, so he's pretty frail looking now, and now he's saying, "Yeah, I had cancer," when he was denying
They're
it.
still putting him in the Top Gun suit.
Yes,
that they're
it's
making.
confirmed that he's
Confirmed.
going to be
man.
Yeah, you probably can't hear the chomp on the microphone, but that's really all he contributed to that movie was the tooth chomp.
Well, that and then the homoerotic volleyball scene,
It's classic.
which I would say is the more important part.
So, yes, the reintroduction, the ascent of Robert Downey Jr., if you will, and the goodbye, farewell.
The farewell for now.
For now. We'll
For
see what
Val
happens.
Kilmer.
Researching, I didn't really know. I know that he was a salty asshole in a lot of movies, Val Kilmer, but a whole bunch of shit I didn't. The Christian Monitor. He's got two kids, two grown kids. I didn't know he had kids. It's like, I didn't realize that he could not love himself for a moment to procreate.
Well, maybe he loved himself so much that he had to make clones of himself.
It's true. Maybe. So
Children.
Yeah.
But, you know, up to that point, he wasn't really, like, he wasn't pegged as the comedic actor at that point.
By his choice.
Right. You know, with some variation there, like, what, Top Secret?
And Real Geniuses.
And Real Genius. But
Yeah.
in general, like, that, I think, contributed to how well he played it on screen, being basically RDJ's straight man for the movie. You know, with parts like, look up the word idiot in the dictionary, you'll know what you'll find. And RDJ...
Picture of me?
No, the definition of the word idiot, which you fucking are. Like that, it's delivered so perfectly from that, like, I am not a comedy guy. They say you can fake dramatic, but you can't fake funny.
That's true.
I mean, they must have had a really good chemistry as well. I think.
feel like that's a common theme, though, and anyone that does movies with RDJ, it's like they have a mini romance during filming, because everyone usually has, like, glowing, like, things to say about Robert Downey Jr. during filming of things, and then, like, because it seemed like if all the promotional materials and the interviews that they were, like, flirting with each other, and they're talking about how great chemistry was, and they couldn't believe it took that long for them to work together. We haven't really heard anything about them, like, being bros.
No.
After that, right? And it's the same thing with Sherlock Holmes. It was the studio, apparently, when they were filming that, actually told Jude Law and them to tone down the homoeroticism.
I feel like Robert Downey Jr. has done that with all of the Avengers as well. You look up any of the candid pictures of, you know, them at red carpet premieres, and RDJ is usually given smooches to pretty much everybody, and it's mostly the guys. He develops bromances pretty intensely.
I mean, whatever it is, it works on screen.
He's a very popular person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whether you're working with him, you're an actor, or you're us and we're just observing the body of work that they do. But going back to the actual movie here, there's just something about it, the, like, rapid fire comedy, the tone and the mood that it makes. I don't know what it is about it, but it's just, like, something that's really stuck with me. And I don't know if that quite has the same feeling in The Nice Guys, which is kind of like the sequel to it, or the prequel.
Mm-hmm. I would say it's like the sister movie.
Spiritual successor.
Yeah.
But
I think that what was missing from The Nice Guys that Kiss Kiss Bang Bang had was, in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, things moved really fast, and so sometimes you would just completely trip over a throwaway line and go back to laughing at it about 4 seconds after it happened.
Yeah.
And in The Nice Guys, they really did set it up more towards, like, your typical Hollywood audience, which is going to be, we need to have a scene that's we know is going to be funny, and then this scene is specifically like detectives gathering information, not going to be all that funny. When he's at the party in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and he's asked what he does, and he says, "I'm retired, I invented dice." Like, it takes you a long time to really, like, compress what he was saying and be like, what? But he's, like, they've gone on since then.
yeah, it's definitely. It's certainly a movie that warrants multiple viewings to get everything in it, because everything comes so fast, and there's so many small things that you could miss.
So Shane Black has a very distinct style, obviously. You know, whether it's a screenplay that has written or if it's one of his movies that he's directing and wrote for. And I was watching this presentation. So he was speaking in front of a film school, and they were talking, you know, asking him questions about filmmaking and about, like, his writing process. And he goes on to say, you know, the thing for him is real life language or naturalistic language is boring as fuck on screen. So he was kind of scoffing at the idea of like naturalistic acting or naturalistic like movies, because a regular conversation, hey, do you want to go eat? Maybe, I'm hungry. You want to walk down to the place yet? Like, it takes 4 pages of dialogue to get from like point A to point B, where stylized, what he's known for, it's very exaggerated. And so it's, all the dialogue is to the point, punched up to get to the point and get something across in a shorter span of time. So one of his influences is James L. Brooks, a writer. I haven't read any of his stuff, but apparently that's one of the influences that he had impacts him. So he's, as I said, like all of his, at least the 2 movies, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys Are.
Is that the guy who did the Johnny Gossamer books?
No, but interestingly enough, it was Raymond Chandler is what those were based off of, and they got the same artist who did the covers for that
awesome.
to do the covers in the movie. So like that's the finite details that he goes into to reference and to like cherish the things that he loves. And like all of the chapters, how the movie's broken up into chapters, they're actually named after different books, after Chandler's books. So unless you had no idea. No. Like that's the level of detail he goes into a lot of these things. And obviously film noir and crime novels is really one of his big influences. At least Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys. It seems like almost like people are like, hey, you need to make another movie like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and The Nice Guys was kind of like the I don't know. It was a good movie. I like it. I own it. Mm-hmm. But it just wasn't the same. And I don't know if it's the dynamic was maybe a little off, or the dialogue wasn't as punchy.
Maybe because it was a bigger production, there was a little more control on it than there was for Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, possibly.
That could very well be. I feel like, but that movie wasn't a huge budgeted movie. It's not like The Predator, right? That's I'm sure that's got a lot more control in it than
or Iron Man 3, which pretty much universally panned and like nobody makes reference to. But that movie had the structure of he directed it. It's very much a Shane Black movie.
Well, here's the insane thing. So, panned, people don't talk about it much, but whenever they talk about Shane Black for anything, they're like, from the, person who did Iron Man 3, when there's all these other things that they could pick.
Way better stuff.
Like anytime Sam Raimi does anything nowadays, when Drag Me to Hell was coming out, it was from the acclaimed director of Spider-Man. And I'm like, I don't know if I want a comic book guy making a horror movie, but if you had said
Evil
the
Dead.
director of Evil Dead, like that would make a lot more sense.
Now, would you include Army of Darkness in that?
Well, considering Drag Me to Hell's like some of the schlock kind of stuff that happened in that movie, like absolutely could have.
And what about Darkman? Would you include the maker of Darkman in that?
Bruce Campbell did have a cameo in that.
He did
at the very end. But that's neither here nor there.
Have you seen Darkman?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Did you see all the sequels?
No.
I hope not.
I didn't.
I did. I loved it.
I played the game correctly, and you lost.
I was a sucker, and it was like, give me more. And it's like watching all the Critters movies. I watched all the sequels.
Hey, I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio's acting debut.
That's right.
Critters 3?
Critters 3. So I put on, I don't know if it must have been Twitter or Instagram. I did find a picture of a young Leo next to a critter and blasted that out. All right, so a bit about Shane Black. So he was born in 1961 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which makes sense. He's got an East Coast accent. I couldn't quite place because it's like sort of New Yorkish, sort of. I couldn't really put my finger on it. So he wrote Lethal Weapon 1 and 2, The Monster Squad, The Last Boy Scout, Last Action Hero, ironically enough. So he's talking about how the struggle of being a writer, you write things, and a lot of times what you write is not what ends up on film. And so he was actually brought into that movie to rewrite the script, and then John McTiernan took his script that he was hired to rewrite and just shot whatever he wanted anyways. So, but John McTiernan did Predator, so...
Where he cast Shane Black as our jokester on the team.
That's right.
And apparently Ghost wrote for it.
So I was reading more about that. Shane Black says that his contributions are very minimal to that movie, which I don't know that I believe, because there's a definite tonal difference as far as dialogue between Predator 1 and Predator 2, which were written by the same brothers. So there's some difference there, and I feel that the secret sauce is Shane Black. That's just my personal feeling. He did The Long Kiss Goodnight, which is I love that movie, but I didn't realize that it was a total box office flop when it came out.
And he almost swore off movie writing at that point.
Yep.
Because it just did so poorly. And at that point, it's like, well, you've done Lethal Weapon movies, you've done Last Kiss Goodnight, like you're Last Action Hero. You're writing for action movies. You know, maybe you do want to do some other things. I think that's what happened with this movie.
Yeah. So Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was his last-ditch effort to make a movie. So they were writing the script, doing the production, doing scouting locations. It didn't have financing or anything lined up. And he went back and groveled to Joel Silver to make a movie, and they let him make it, surprisingly. And they just had a couple of actors who happened to be kind of on the down and outs that agreed to do it. Iron Man 3, obviously, The Edge, The Nice Guys, obviously The Predator, and then he's got 2 other movies. He's doing Doc Savage and The Destroyer, which I don't know what that's about, but it's a good title.
I hope it's like Conan.
Yeah.
The Destroyer.
See, at some point in time, it was rumored, or they were talking about Arnold was going to star as Conan again, as the old man Conan.
I remember hearing that.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of disappeared it just never went anywhere.
We need to find out what happens when he's sitting in the throne at the end, contemplating.
With a crown on his furrowed brow or whatever it is.
Yeah. Obviously, it's weighed heavily upon his conscience.
Yeah, falcons at his wrist.
But also, I mean, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang also had Michelle Monaghan, who was really terrific in her role. And nowadays, whenever I see her in anything, like Mission Impossible,
Yeah.
like every time I see her, I just think of like
Whitey
the White Knight.
No biggie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Honestly, I kind of forgot about Michelle Monaghan until we rewatched it. I'm like, oh yeah, she exists. She's a person. Because what is she? I guess I'm not a big fan of the Mission Impossible movies, so I didn't even realize that she was in them.
She played Tom Cruise's love interest, eventual wife, and then estranged wife through the series. And I'm not sure if that was like she wasn't testing well with people, or they figured, well, I guess we always have a way to put Ethan Hunt in crisis because we can threaten his wife, and that's basically what they've been doing for a while.
Maybe Tom Cruise has a problem with her.
Oh, True Detective also.
Oh,
First season of
yes.
True Detective,
Yes.
she played
Why
a-
the hell did I not forget? And she was so good in that, too.
And you know, Woody Harrelson's character sort of stuck between either Michelle Monaghan or Alexandra Daddario. Like, he had it pretty much made.
Yeah.
Like those,
Yeah, that's
those
a
ladies
tough
are
life.
But he
fantastic.
couldn't win the deep voice competition that
No.
show turned out to be. So he's still, even though he had babes all lined up, he couldn't get the one.
Who would
that he
you have
wanted.
rather have been in that series? McConaissance or Woody?
I wouldn't want to be either of them.
If you
terrible.
if you had to choose, though.
I mean, they both get some pretty grievous injuries out. Ugh.
Yeah, nothing really goes too well.
No. But Woody definitely has the better life up to that point, because Matthew's going deep undercover, getting shot, taking a copious amount of drugs.
And just generally being weird.
Yeah.
My fiance does captioning work for live TV sports and such, and so she'll do like entire West Coast baseball games and things, and there's a Carl's Jr. sort of ad campaign now where Matthew McConaughey is the voice. So they have him like singing songs about the Western bacon cheeseburger and everything.
What?
She will come home and have this like in her head and will be singing this, and all I can think of is True Detective version of Matthew McConaughey getting his Western bacon cheese on.
That's an amazing thought.
It is definitely worth looking up.
Okay, I had no idea. And
He's really whoring himself out lately.
Well, you do the Lincoln, was it?
Yeah, Lincoln,
commercials?
Wild Turkey, Carl's Jr.
Do you think that he is like in desperate need of money, or is it?
He can't be.
No.
Everyone loves him.
He's got, and does he have an Emmy for True Detective?
I'm not sure, but he is still an in-demand actor.
Interstellar, like all of those things. Put him in anything and people will gravitate towards it.
He's still box office gold.
Right.
I guess he's just doing a Nicolas Cage, just in other areas. He's just getting that money where he can.
So maybe he's saving up to buy an island. Maybe that's what he's trying to do.
Maybe.
I feel like in this movie, like, we see Robert Downey Jr. do a kind of performance and then does it for every other movie from then on.
At this point, I don't think he's acting. He's just being him.
Right. And because movies up to that point, like, yeah, he's always been kind of a frantic actor, like hyperkinetic, but I really feel like the charm...
Not in Less Than Zero.
Not in Less Than Zero, no. But I feel like that the particular combination of the performance is what we've seen time and time again, whether it's Tony Stark or whatever other character he's doing. And it's always funny to me because I was watching this interview and he's talking about like challenges of acting and what keeps driving him, and he's always trying to do something new, to take on new roles that people wouldn't expect. But it's just Robert Downey Jr. being like kind of like frantically charming in every role that he does.
Be a alcoholic playboy billionaire. It's not really a stretch for him to play Tony Stark.
No, but it is a nice paycheck.
Don't forget philanthropist.
Oh, yes.
Playboy.
I forgot that. Playboy
Philanthropist.
Yes.
Although, his role in Tropic Thunder is one of...
Absolutely amazing.
Amazing genius. And maybe it's my small mind that I can't comprehend. Like, does he play two separate characters and that's the cheat? Like, this time I'm playing the Australian method actor. This I'm playing a black guy. Or does he actually go so deep in that he's always playing the Australian guy, thinking about how he would play the black guy?
That's one of the things they talk about why Mel Blanc was such an amazing voice actor was he could be in character pretending to be another character just through his voice. So he could pretend to be Bugs Bunny imitating Porky Pig. And I think that Robert Downey Jr. had that opportunity in Tropic Thunder to pretend to be an actor playing an actor. Anytime I see that, it just boggles my mind.
So going off the Mel Blanc thing, a customer was in my store the other day and stopped me for help. I heard him talk. He sounded just like him, like doing one of his voices. And when he left, I was like, oh my God, was that guy's a real voice, or was he doing that on purpose? It was so out of this world. It was like, it would be comedic if I wasn't so blown away by how weird it was. Like, how could a person sound like that? I have no idea.
How do you address a person like that? Do you just walk up and just, what's up, Doc?
Do you go, what the fuck are you doing? Are you seriously talking to me like that right now?
Are you a real person? I suppose we didn't really kind of break down even what the movie's about for people that don't know. If you don't know, you're living under a rock.
Well, I mean, you with that long-winded description of it at the beginning, you really hit it.
Well, neo-noir, dark comedy.
Right,
crime,
but, you know, basically
something.
the plot. Because we didn't talk about Val Kilmer yet. So, Val Kilmer plays Gay Perry, but he plays the straight man, and he plays the straight man to Robert Downey Jr.
Mhm.
And so Shane Black, and I don't know if like this is like a cheap, like at the time it seemed like a revolutionary idea that a gay person could be macho and just be the straight man, but like he was talking about it like it was this revolutionary idea that a gay person could be just a regular person. It's very effective in that role, and like I think Val Kilmer's performance is really kind of subtle. Like yes, he is the straight man, but he gives a little bit of a way to like indicate or inform his character, because I think he's like has a little bit of a lisp or something inflection in his voice that gives it away that he's not quite.
Well, he sounds permanently aggravated.
He's
You know,
very angry.
right? And
Yeah.
it's. I think there was sort of a stereotype of the like Hollywood gay man who was just angry. Another Parks and Rec thing, like Craig in the later seasons who comes in. That's almost the level at which Val Kilmer was in this movie.
That's true. It's like one or two notches down.
Right. But in general, like you have RDJ sort of, he is our ability to enter the film because he's just sort of bungling, doesn't really know what's going on. He wants to help out with this mystery of childhood friend's sister who's died. And at the same time, he's in Hollywood sort of being cast for a movie, he thinks. And Val Kilmer is helping him to learn how to be a detective like he would be in the movie. And it gets really convoluted, but I think that what the writers did a very good job of was most noir movies have sort of that twist of like it was actually him who did it.
Mm-hmm.
And they do talk about that, like this isn't really the Hollywood ending, even though there's the amazing shootout. It still turns a bunch of tropes on their head, like the book that he has in his pocket that gets a bullet hole through it. Supposed to, you know, you get shot and the book saves you, but it goes right through the book and he gets shot. Like that's it's very, very funny and very smart.
Yeah, I do appreciate it for the fact that, as you say, it turns the head on tropes, and from a genre that really wasn't. Maybe Tarantino was sort of like, but he was like more grindhousey sort of flair. So
His are a lot more like big cast features.
Yeah.
Like you think of Reservoir Dogs, there are a lot of people involved.
Yeah.
And Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is pretty much really like these two guys going out to help this girl who is looking for help. And that's the old noir film thing.
Mm-hmm.
You got Sam Spade and like some beautiful lady comes in and asks for his help, and then maybe she was in on the crime the whole time.
Right. And I think that's what makes the movie refreshing, especially even now. I think noir films or noir genre has a little bit of a resurgence, but not in the same way that Shane Black does them. And when that movie came out, 2005, I believe is when it came out.
6?
05, 06, something like that. What?
One of them was probably the Cannes Film Festival, and one of them was whenever it was released in however like 3 theaters in the country.
What was going on in popular culture at that time? Like it was really distinct, and it took something that is familiar. Like if you, like us, we grew up watching movies and on TV and Nick at Night and all these sort of things. Like, I'm certainly familiar with film noir and old crime movies and black and white James Cagney and all that kind of shit. So to see this and flip it on its ear and being really like a crime movie that has ADHD, like it's just really like hyper and bouncing and just, as you said, like it moves from scene to scene, from sentence to sentence really quick, where you have to rewatch it to catch all the things that they're saying.
But also fourth wall kind of stuff, and I know that there's always going to be, fourth wall sort of things going back many, many movies before, but I don't think any of them have done it quite like this. Like Deadpool nowadays is like the poster boy for breaking fourth wall and being like, hey, wink to the audience, but in this movie they sort of made it part of the character, the whole credits sequence, when RDJ is talking and then Val Kilmer comes in. And
Yeah. I
that
mean, yes,
part
the
is
audience
so funny.
is directly addressed.
For all you in the Midwest, sorry we said the word fuck so much.
Yeah.
It's brilliant, and they deliver it in character, but you're kind of left with that, like, was that Val Kilmer or Gay Perry?
Right.
Kind of thing.
And the fourth wall breaking in that movie isn't so much like Deadpool is like over the top,
Right.
like acknowledging itself. Where this is like, I almost got the vibe that it was like they were telling their story as a movie, and we were watching that movie unfold, if you will. Whereas Deadpool's a different thing upon itself. What other nuggets about that movie, Kyle?
It's infinitely quotable. There's so much stuff in this movie that's like, to this day, I mean, I'm constantly saying stuff from it. But yet nobody knows what I'm talking about when I'm doing it because not enough people have seen the movie.
Or seen it recently. I think a lot of people eventually got around to seeing that movie like a year or two later after it was released. Because
That's how I saw it.
And
really.
I think that's the same thing for me. Like, I had a buddy who was like, you need to see this movie. And like the last movie I saw RDJ in was In Dreams. And I'm like, fucking RDJ? Why? But then it was amazing.
So yeah, when I saw that, I was like, RDJ? Oh, yeah. Now I'm even more interested than I was when I was told about it, and I didn't know that he
I was more interested in Val Kilmer because I have such a love for Real Geniuses that I heard he was doing a comedic film, and I was like, I'm going to watch this movie. Yes. Return to form, return to the original Val Kilmer, and then it was his goodbye.
Sort of.
I mean, he was in a bunch
As
of
I take it, yeah.
Well, yeah, the last really good movie he was in. I mean, I do like his turn in MacGruber as Kumpf.
I mean, what was big before he did that? All I think of is Heat.
Top Gun, obviously.
The Doors.
When he was Jim Morrison, right?
Batman.
Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
Which isn't even as bad as Batman and Robin, the one with Clooney and Schwarzenegger.
Well, I'm thinking of good movies here, so Heat was a good movie, so fuck y'all.
Well, in general, like, at the time, it felt like if you were going to be starring in a superhero movie, up till, I think, where...
Blade.
Right. X-Men really turned around superhero movies. Everything before that was like, all right, they're just going to get some name to shove in there just so they can sell the movie because they aren't going to sell it on Batman alone.
I'm curious if they're going to be able to break the code the way they did with comic movies to video game movies. We were having this discussion earlier. It's like, what is the secret sauce to making a good video game movie? And I've read articles about this, and I talked a little bit about, like, one of the big arguments, the reason why you should never do it is because video games are an interactive experience where movies are a passive experience. So you're playing a game, you're participating in the events unfolding, and it's different for you and for you and for me playing the same game a little bit because you could make slightly different choices.
Unless we're talking about Metal Gear Solid.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to fucking say that, too.
I think Metal Gear Solid 4 has the record for longest consecutive, like, cutscenes. I think it tacks up to more than the length of a feature film.
Yeah, it was like 100 and some minutes, right?
Holy Christ.
But if you go down the rabbit hole, David Hayter, as in the voice of Solid Snake, did write the first X-Men movie. So
I did not know that he was a writer.
Yeah, apparently he was big into, like, comic book stuff. He does a cameo in that movie as, like, one of the bodyguards at the museum towards the very end. But I think he's written for a few things, but maybe he's the secret sauce. That's what we need.
Okay, good to know.
G-Bell.
Or we could just make another House of the Dead movie. I don't know. Typing of the Dead movie?
Typing of the Dead the movie. That'd be fucking awesome. Everyone has Dreamcasts on their back and they type on a keyboard. I I don't know. It just has to be approached right. And, as we were talking about this earlier, I said I thought Mortal Kombat was a good movie.
I think everyone feels that Mortal Kombat.
You have to say "I thought" at the beginning of that sentence.
I know that Mortal Kombat is a good movie and a good video game movie at that.
I think the Mortal Kombat movie is better than the Mortal Kombat game. Fight me.
Mortal Kombat 1 or Mortal Kombat 2?
1 specifically.
Well, that's not.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat. People have drawn parallels from Mortal Kombat the movie to Enter the Dragon, and the fact that somebody would even make that kind of connection.
Legitimate cinema at that point. Then,
right?
That's crazy. But why? Looking I see that movie at least once a year. It's a fucking schlock fest.
No.
Yes.
No.
The whole part at the there are plenty of points where you're just like, why did this need to happen? The very end, Liu Kang, I am the chosen one. There is no chosen anything mentioned anywhere in that movie up to that point.
He was just feeling really full of himself at that point. If you were kicking ass and about to save your world,
if you killed Goro,
would you say it? Those were $500.
But maybe we needed more lines those are $500 sunglasses, asshole, or the part where you fall down.
I will say though that while I know this is a good movie, the CG in it is just fucking awful.
Well, that's
Reptile
CG
is so bad.
Up to any point of time looks terrible.
Yeah, well,
have you seen Jurassic Park?
Yeah,
I was just gonna say
even now,
Jurassic
holy
Park?
shit! That CG is not looking so good these days.
No, but I think the more that they stick practical effects in some of those things and then try to do a little bit of morphing between the two helps your suspension of disbelief. But there are times in the modern day where I think that people get lazy. Anybody who I talk to about Black Panther absolutely loved the movie, and I had major beef with its green screen. I don't know why in 2017-18 green screen would look that bad. The whole fight on the cliff with the water, and you're looking up at all the people who are chanting as the battle's happening. It just looks terrible.
Yeah.
But do you think that's just a weakness of the filmmaker, or do you think it's...
They have the best that visual effects studios have to offer. I mean, Disney's got ILM sitting around. They've got pretty much connections all over the world for the best studios. So, I don't think that there was really an excuse for it at that point.
Yeah, that's a very well-oiled machine to where, yes, you have your director, but Taika, I love Thor, but there's no way that he has all of the technical expertise to pull off that movie. He was very well supported to pull that off. So as you're saying, there really isn't a justification for why it looked like... I guess what really pissed me off was just how badly when they turn into animalistic fighting where they're jumping and hopping around, how bad CG that was.
Kind of like Blade 2.
Blade 2. That's always the first thing I think of when I think of human CG was that fight in front of the lights in their hideout. The jumping around.
Oh my god. And there was more practical effects than not in that movie, except that fight scene, which was just, why did we need to go that aerial and over the top?
I feel like Blade 2 was a more anime movie than the original Blade.
Oh, for sure.
And so when they were going for that kind of aesthetic, I think that they wanted to have people jumping incredibly high in the air when, in the first one they mask it in the tower at the very end when he's going fast, but it's quick cuts rather than actually trying to show anything. Right.
Because the CG in the first Blade movie is god awful. The end where he blows up.
Yes.
Yeah.
The alternate ending is on.
That's something special right there. Yeah.
Crap.
But still, though, I think the vampires disintegrating, that was still done well.
Yeah.
And the Foley work on the sound effects as they disintegrate was really, really good too.
That's just a solid movie.
It's my favorite comic book movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all day.
Definitely.
I'm still, the regret that I have of when we went to Convergence is that we missed the Blade 20th anniversary celebration.
That would have been, I would have liked to have gone to that. But wasn't it during Vilification Tennis?
I think it was during that, so we
It's
were
an
missing
easy
that.
choice.
Yeah, you have to do what you got to do. But I'm sad. I should have took the survey and wrote that in there. How dare you schedule Blade anniversary introspective or retrospective and Vilification Tennis at the same time.
Well, that's the problem. The really good panels that would have the maybe racier discussions are scheduled at the same time at night as all the other events, so it makes it hard. You got to pick and choose your battles.
Yeah. But back to the visual effects thing, like I know that we can look at it from afar and be like, man, that looks bad, but you know, the best visual effects are always going to be the ones that you didn't notice, that you didn't quite pick up.
Yeah.
And I feel like pretty much any movie, even ones where you wouldn't expect special effects, you know, visual effects created computer graphics, like there's a lot out there that we are not really talking about because they look good. You didn't really notice them when they happen.
Say the bear in the Gennaro's commercial in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Well, what do I know? I'm just a bear. I suck the heads off fish.
See how I brought us back on topic there?
Yeah, that was
well
really,
played.
really good. Good for you.
But I did notice that bear was... But they did it as a joke.
It's a joke and it does look awful, and I think that's like it's purposely supposed to be bad, so...
What we don't know is that there was some digital artist who, like, cried themselves to sleep when they heard that people were making fun of his bear in that movie.
There's nothing to make fun of. It's great. We love the Gennaro's commercial.
Love it. Yeah, it's really, again, it's a charming movie. It has one of those things where it's the right time, the right moment, the actors coming in, the chemistry between the cast. It certainly, I think, gave Michelle Monaghan a platform to go on to do other things. Like, I think that if she wasn't in that movie, because she wouldn't have gone on to do the other things that she had. Because, I mean,
I don't recall anything that she had done before.
Exactly. She's great in it. I thought, again, playing to tropes, stereotypes, like she did a good job of playing against type. And so I thought that was really good. Maybe it was, again, the strength of the material, maybe, that pulled her through. It's one of those cases, is like, is it the talent of the cast, or is it the strength of the material that it comes from? And I'll think that this is the directorial debut of Shane Black. This is his first movie, and it's one of those things that you can dissect and quote infinitely.
Well, I think for Michelle Monaghan specifically, like, on the outset, she is very much a two-dimensional character because she is the childhood friend who became estranged and then has come back into his life to ask him for help. And it's like, that is just straight up, like, ripped off from who knows how many movies.
That's something, right out of a movie.
Right out of a movie.
Weird.
But she played it really well, and then, how she gets involved with everything and basically, tells him at a few points, like, this is ridiculous, or she wants to dive in further. She has some...
Yeah, she's a better detective at the end of it than the other two, because they're busy.
Like, you just bring him in.
And push him out.
And push him out. You'll bring him in and push him out.
And what I love about RDJ's character is that he's the crook, the thief, but he's the most morally, like, straight character of everyone else in the movie.
Yeah.
And he's the crook, the looked down upon.
And you were saying earlier about Shane Black being from the East Coast, and in the movie, there's a line that RDJ says, it's like someone took America by the East Coast and shook it, and all the normal girls stayed there, while all the not normal, the crazy ones, ended up on the West Coast. So, like, is that him and his thinking, or is that what he just made for the movie?
He apparently, from what I've gathered, is like a lot of his ideas and things he reinterprets from like James L. Brooks, or he picks up his conversation beats and ideas for them, because like he has amazing insults. I think someone was like, where do you get your insults from? Like, how do you think of them? And that's what he's basically saying, is that it's from those crime books that he reinterprets some of these things from, and you get, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's something.
Well, the idiot one.
Yeah,
that's top notch in that movie.
I think it's top notch in any, because you just don't expect it.
Right.
And that's like one of the great things about the movie, is that you think it's going to go one way, or you expect it to unfold in a particular way, and it goes in a different direction, but in a pleasant way, not like an M. Night Shyamalan kind of way, but like in a actually that's like enjoyable sort of way.
Who taught you math? Go see the movie if you haven't seen it.
I know your feeling. I don't know your feeling. What do you think about Glass coming out?
Oh, upcoming?
Yeah.
I did not see Split.
Neither have I.
But you saw Unbreakable.
I saw Unbreakable. And people I've heard talk about Unbreakable as a masterpiece these days, and I remember specifically my feeling when the movie came out after The Sixth Sense. I was like, we should be on the lookout more for what this dude is doing. And when I saw Unbreakable, I was like, I don't know if I need to be, like, maybe this wasn't just the best.
I rolled my eyes so hard at the end of that movie you could hear it.
Okay.
Your eyes remove themselves from their head.
Not that it was a steep drop-off when I was watching it, because the whole time it has a very tense feeling, and you're kind of questioning, like, how much of this is going to be real, or is it going to become supernatural pretty fast? Who knows? So it still had a lot of merits, but I don't know if it was
I would
like
just
the
say
masterpiece that a lot of people have said.
I think a lot of people love it more in hindsight than they do in. I remember being like, that was a good movie. Like, it's not one of those things I had to rush out and watch again or buy. I don't have a desire to necessarily watch it even now.
Well, everybody was talking about how it's just this amazing comic book movie that you don't realize is a comic book movie. And I'm thinking, like, what's the actual motivation? And I wonder that about bad guys. Like, what is the actual motivation? And if it's just to find the unbreakable man, if you're the breakable man, like, you found him. Like, where does this movie end? Like, what do you do the next? Do you wake up and have a cinnamon roll the next day?
You say, I'm Mr. Glass, and you're done.
Right.
Yeah, that's like, it seems like such a letdown. Like, why? What do you do when you find your opposite? Like, do you like?
Fuck them.
Is that what it is? Pursuit of love?
So that I'm just curious about how they're involving Split, because I enjoy James McAvoy, like even from the days of Wanted, which is a movie nobody talks about.
I rewatched that movie recently.
Oh man!
Oh fuck! It is a movie of its time,
and it's one of the very early Chris Pratt appearances.
I was so surprised. I'm like,
yep. He
There's
gets slapped in the face with a keyboard.
Yep.
And the letters on the keyboard fly off to spell "fuck you" with one of his teeth being a U, because there aren't two U's on a keyboard. They had to be a little bit
creative
there. I wouldn't be surprised if they did put two U keys in there, to be honest with you. I'm impressed at this point.
But like James McAvoy, like he is good, but just the previews for Split didn't look like it was all that special. And when the Glass preview came up, I was like, okay, I should probably just go on Wikipedia and read about what Split was about. And I'm reading through, and I'm like, okay, so we've got this thing, and I'm like, well, how many movies about dissociative identity disorder are they going to try to do when, really what they're trying to do is make a Jekyll and Hyde movie?
Yeah.
You've got one person who, has a split, but then, I think back to, what was it, Identity with John Cusack, where it's all of the strangers that are in the hotel together, and as it turns out, they're all just the different personalities in the mind of this guy who's on trial for, murder, and he's getting on death row, but it was really this one personality that was the killer.
Killer 7?
Right, Killer 7. You've also got, what else was it I just had in my brain? Session 9, one of my favorites, had that, but it wasn't one of the main characters. It was sort of this background kind of thing. But with Split, I was like, do they... I don't know. How are you going to deal with, like, the Beast and have it actually, like, physically affect him unless you straight out admit, like, this is supernatural and superhuman, and it doesn't actually take place in reality. The thing about Unbreakable was the whole time it absolutely could be something that did happen. Just a guy who happened to be lucky that many times in a row, happened to not get sick, that kind of thing. And on the other hand, you have Sammy J, who is very fragile.
Right. Yeah, it's Unbreakable is plausible. Split, and I haven't seen it. I think did it go into the supernatural realm? I don't.
From my understanding, and I could totally get hate on if I start spouting off about a movie I haven't seen. But he's got multiple personalities, and they all end up affecting his physiology. So these personalities try in his brain to lock up the Beast, as they refer to it. And if the Beast gets out, that's bad for everybody because it will make him super buff and strong. If you've seen some of those promotional pictures of the dude,
he's all like jacked up,
and that's what it becomes. I don't know if it's.
But there's like a scene where he's like climbing up a wall and climbing on a ceiling,
as people do.
I think
if you're possessed.
I think M. Night Shyamalan's new twist is that at the end of the movie he references things that you are okay with. Like, you're okay with Unbreakable. You like Unbreakable. And that's the twist ending. Hey, it's a sequel. It's a faux sequel. Instead of being like they're actually dead, or they're, in a settlement out in the middle of nowhere and it's modern times.
Like, why? At no point did somebody say to him during the creation of Signs that it's completely illogical for aliens to settle on a planet which is largely made of water, both liquid and vapor, where their weakness is water. Like, you can see it from afar that it's probably not the best. Send a probe out and you'll probably notice it.
I think he was probably stretching for it. I think at that point, like, in his career, they were just still giving him enough, like, sure, go ahead and make that movie. That's fine. We don't need the details. And they just let him make it, and you're like, what the actual fuck?
He did make one good decision in one of his movies, and that was to cast Bryce Dallas Howard in The Village because she's hot.
Oh, my God. Yeah, she's very sexy in that movie, and I feel awkward about being so attracted to her in that movie because she's blind and, like, helpless, and it's a weird...
What's wrong with that?
I guess we know what you're into. But that's okay. But I mean,
I'm sure there's a website for that.
What was in between those two? Lady in the Water? And that was another movie...
After?
I don't remember.
I think it was after.
Yeah, Lady in the Water was after, because that was when he was getting...
It doesn't even matter, really.
And it was another one of those movies of his, very similar to Signs, where all of this is about, like, predestination, and everything happens for a reason, and, like, this dude works out one arm of his body so that he can punch something really good. Like, why is that the narrative device?
You know what the genesis of that movie is? He's with his kids, and instead of having a bedtime story, he would have them make up a story together. And so his kids and him are basically riffing, and they were all these ridiculous things that are in that movie are partially inspired by him and his kids just making shit up.
Is that sort of like when you're trying to describe a dream that you had to somebody, and then the more you talk about it, you're like, wait, but this thing didn't have. I lost my train of thought, and then
I
it's just a bad
think that's
idea.
exactly what happened, and I watched 3/4 of that movie and had to give up. I couldn't do it.
Well, if you watch the first 3/4 and just skip the ending, you should be fine for any of his movies. Because
Like The Happening. Or
I didn't watch that movie. I didn't bother.
okay.
And people killing themselves should have been right up my alley, but I just wasn't. I couldn't do it.
And Avatar.
Didn't watch that either.
Oh my god. I haven't.
I don't know why I saw that movie.
Why did you see that movie unless you were accompanied by a child?
Maybe I wanted to see like a train wreck because it wouldn't be anything but that, and it was.
Of all Western-made anime-based movies, that has to be the bottom of the pile.
Probably. I have not seen it. I will not see it.
No, don't.
Unless I really am feeling masochistic and I maybe am really drunk. Maybe I'll watch it.
You'll never get that time of your life back.
That's reserved for movies that have some redeeming qualities or something that you can laugh at, but it's no bueno.
Gotcha. I'm glad that we went from Shane Black to M. Night Shyamalan.
They have absolutely nothing in common.
No, they're entirely different caliber, worlds apart from each other. I think,
how he is still getting work is beyond me.
I don't really know. Again, I've not seen Split. It is generally reviewed positively, but I feel like it's only reviewed positively because it has a tie-in to Unbreakable, which people like. Because I think nostalgia really.
Or is it reviewed positively because perhaps it might be better than his other movies, and that's what they're gauging it again?
Well, Maybe. It's better than an Uwe Boll movie.
But I remember when After Earth came out, the Will Smith, Jaden Smith movie, and there was a lot of preview material coming out. Not a single one of them mentioned that he was the director. That this.
Yeah,
was
that was
one of
really
his
well
movies.
downplayed. Yeah.
And once people found out about it, they're like, "Oh, that's why this movie looks so bad." And so I'm pretty sure that there was a time when his entire PR team was like, "If you make another movie, we aren't going to attach your name to it. We're going to see how it does, and then see if it's a placebo effect at this point."
Yeah, I did see that movie, and it was garbage. And he just makes... But there's those people that are like, your name, I recognize your name, you did a movie, I like that movie, yeah, I'll green light. And then somehow Will Smith gets involved, and he takes his shit on it, and it's like, yeah, we'll have my kid, who's not an actor, who's never done anything before. That's perfect. The second lead in that movie should be my son. And you have that movie.
Didn't see it, yes.
You're lucky.
At least there's a wide variety of crap that has come out of this guy. It's, from sci-fi to non. It's all just
he just
kind
takes
of
his stride at anything. Just like, yeah, I've done that before. Let's see how that works. The next thing will be a Western from M. Night Shyamalan.
I could see it.
Seriously. Guarantee.
The twist at the end is it's in the future.
But that was
it's
the
post-apocalyptic,
wasn't it?
It was,
in,
in,
the
the
past, but okay, future, present. Yeah.
That's funny.
Or it's on a different planet entirely, or that this is all truly before Earth entirely. Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. Anyways, back to Shane Black. So again, he's entirely different. I think his style of filmmaking is much more dialogue-driven. He does have a style. There's definitely a visual flair, I think, to his movies, and I'm very curious about how The Predator is going to turn out.
Seeing the previews, everything points to like Hollywood has too many fingers in the pie.
It's definitely fingering
as
it
far
pretty
as the
hard.
marketing goes.
Yes.
But there are nuggets within the trailers where I'm looking at it, I'm going, this looks like they took something that was quality and watered it down so that they could bring in like people not like us to go see it.
I really feel that there are more people like us than not, and would definitely...
But maybe Hollywood doesn't think so.
Yeah, fuckers. It's got Thomas Jane in it. I think I really loved him in The Expanse.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that it's getting another season.
Punisher, too.
God, what was that movie? I keep forgetting the name of. Mutant Nation?
Oh,
some garbage
yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Thomas Jane in it, and there's one thing I remember from the movie, and it was towards the end, he delivers a line of, "I don't get paid to ask questions. I get paid to fuck shit up." And it was so perfect.
Did that have Olga Kurylenko in it?
Maybe. It was one of those where basically green screen from beginning to end.
Yeah, after the Sky Captains of the World of Tomorrow.
Right. That kind of aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah, as a Russian filmmaker, I think that made it. And it had, Hellboy.
Ron Perlman, that's right.
He was in it. So I'm curious to see how the Predator... The big stink for me is that there's a bigger Predator. Like, that's really, I think...
Predator.
That, to me, is really lazy. Like, they did that in Predators to do we need that? Although, apparently, there's going to be female Predators in this movie.
What I've wondered about, and they, in Predators, the third movie, there is brief footage of a predator, or I should say a planet where predators are.
Yes.
It's not necessarily the home world, but if they are a spacefaring civilization, there have to be like engineers who made spaceships, right? They can't be the kinds of dudes who are off killing stuff all day for trophies. Like, they're sitting in an office.
Why not?
How do they how do they type anything with their...
Well, there's touch screens, I saw they activated the self-destruct thing on their little gauntlets, so you just have to have the keyboard so their fingernails are
that
in
might
the
be
way.
somebody who is using an iPhone, but the person who built the iPhone had to get in there on a PCB and solder some stuff down at some point.
Well, obviously their technology is far more advanced than ours.
Right.
Maybe they aren't clacking away on a keyboard.
But at the same time, here's the contradiction to that. They are a futuristic tribal society. So they collect trophies. They're not one for the arts. They see in infrared. We had this discussion in one of our episodes.
Yes.
And my question is, so the art in Predator 2, all along that wall, that glowing, beautiful wall, they can't fucking see any of that because they see in infrared.
Maybe it's tactile.
They can see, and haven't they done that in AVP2? Talked about cycling through different visions, or he does the sonic hearing vision in Predator 2.
No, he sees in ultraviolet.
Oh, okay.
So they switch between the spectrums, but none of them are in high def. You only see
that
weird...
we know of.
So that's what I'm saying.
Maybe our eyes can't interpret what theirs do.
But the point being, there have to be Predator engineers, and it makes more sense that they've got the whole civilization, and that maybe the people who come to Earth are our people that go to Africa and shoot lions and stuff like
maybe.
that.
Or after a hard day of doing engineering work, there's nothing more satisfying than to go to a distant planet and kill some shit to relieve some stress.
I feel that need a lot.
Discs. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, or is it that they trade with other cultures that are not, they don't deem, because it's been shown that they don't hunt people that are not trying to hurt them. So if you don't have a gun in your hand, or you're pregnant,
baby, yeah.
If you
that
don't
kind of
pose a threat or
a threat to them, they're
challenge.
not going to engage in that way with us. So do they trade with other alien species for their technology, or do they create it?
Knowing Shane Black, knowing how devoted he is to the whole franchise, I don't want to make like predictions here, but I feel like he could absolutely go with sort of his trademark twist like we've seen in Iron Man 3, Nice Guys, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, where it could be something like this Predator is some sort of like Earth military experiment based on data that they've collected from the 80s and 90s, and that there could be something there, or at least part of the movie would be a thread about, is that a possibility?
So like a Weyland-Yutani thing where they want to use this alien as a biological weapon.
There you go.
From.
I think that's a high. I definitely got that vibe.
Interesting theory.
Yeah, I had that thought myself, that the Predator of the Predator was a man-made thing and unleashed to kill the predators, but it's hard to say. The trailers are cut in a particular way.
Right.
And you know what they do now? It's a very common thing to misdirect audiences. They film footage just for trailers doesn't end up in the movie at all. So like they did that with the new Avengers movie.
The Infinity War thing with the Hulk.
Yeah, the Hulk hulking out inside of the suit. That was never meant. That's not like a cut scene. They filmed it just for the trailer as a misdirection to the audience, so they wouldn't get what was happening.
But in the trailer for The Predator, you've got they're bringing in this guy who saw the Predator spaceship crash land, and there's the two guys behind the glass who are talking, and you can tell that if this were not a Hollywood cut trailer, that conversation would be pure Shane Black level. Like, I think of the Ike, Mike, and Mustard guys. Like, that level of interaction.
That's pretty fucking obscure.
Right? That's what I imagine when I see it, is they aren't showing me the whole thing, and I feel like I'm putting my trust in Shane Black after making, movies like The Nice Guys, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, but also the action movies like Lethal Weapon. I feel like it could be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I have decent hopes. Like I never go in with high expectations for anything, but I feel like it's not going to be disappointing.
I certainly have higher hopes than if anyone else were to be doing
For
it.
sure.
Is Dutch going to be back?
I don't think so.
No, but
He's mentioned.
Jake Busey is in it, playing the son of whatever Gary Busey's character was.
And just so you know, if that doesn't excite you enough, Cryptycon this year is having a mini Starship Troopers cast reunion, and Jake Busey is going to be there. This boy is going. I've already take the time off work for it.
I don't think that they're going to recreate the naked shower scene that you're hoping for.
Hey, Diz is going to be there too.
Oh, jeez.
Along with Casper, of course.
If Michael Ironside shows up, my life will be complete.
If he has a prosthetic leg, maybe? Isn't that what he had in the fake
arm?
Fake arm.
Yeah.
God.
Did he have an eye patch? I don't
know.
No.
Okay,
you know what to do.
Good old Sam Fisher.
Fuck.
I'm super excited about that.
I fucking love Starship Troopers.
It's a great movie. It's part of the holy trifecta of Paul Verhoeven.
Yes. We've mentioned
Just
before.
3?
The trifecta.
The holy trifecta we're talking
okay.
about.
Like the 3 most important movies of all time.
Yeah.
And for the people who don't recall what those were.
RoboCop, Total Recall, Starship Troopers.
Yeah. But I feel like as far as, directors go these days, like there aren't many that are carrying on that kind of legacy, except for maybe like Blade Runner 2049's Dennis Villeneuve. Cough.
Canadian.
Right. But I feel like he could even step in to make a movie like The Predator, and it would be worthwhile.
It would make you feel really weird. It would be very it'd be lit in a very specific way, and
How about Neil B?
Oh, yeah. The Neil B. I'm all about the Neil B.
The canceled Alien project, right?
Fuck. I wish that didn't get canceled because I think he would have done a good job with it.
I think it would have been better than what we got. Period.
I'm going to pretend that we didn't get anything.
I am. I'm cutting that right off.
I think those movies are, well, Covenant is not going to be looked back upon fondly, because I refuse, because that's a horseshit movie. But I think
if you told me Danny McBride was going to be in an Alien movie, I would immediately say, like, why are we doing this?
Or that he's involved in a classic remake of Halloween and was one of the screenwriters of it.
Right?
Like, huh?
He belongs in This Is the End.
Or Pineapple Express.
Right?
It'll be, yeah, I'm excited to see what he does with Dune.
Right.
If he does well with Dune, I think the next project that he will do will be really exciting because he'll be able to take on... Because if you do Dune, you do it well, and whether you like the book or not, or you like the David Lynch movie or whatever, the scope is huge and complex and beloved, and if you're able to make those fans happy and then actually make money off of it, that dude will be able to write his own ticket all day long.
Well, we're in the middle of, like, reboot and sequel society, even to the point where, like, we're getting excited about The Predator when Shane Black totally created The Nice Guys from the ground up.
Yeah.
You know, and he's said, like, he would be happy to do a sequel for The Nice Guys, but kind of wonder, like, wouldn't it be good to put creative juices towards something that is new? And
I think it's like the Del Toro thing, though. You know, he does his Hollywood movie, and then he does his home project. So, and I think his projects that he does on his own accord are way better than his Hollywood projects. Like, whenever Hollywood gets involved with Del Toro, they shit on it and make it terrible. And you get, you know, if you get Devil's Backbone or Pan's Labyrinth or Lady in the Water, he shot in between shooting on The Strand. Like, they recycled all the sets from the TV
you mean
show.
Shape of Water, right?
Shape
of Water.
Shape of Water.
I was gonna say.
We're going back to Shyamalan.
Would that be an obscure, like, connection?
So on the rest of this episode of all of the directors of movies in cinematic history.
Yeah. But I think, you know, like, point being, like, Shane can flip back and forth.
Right.
Like, Villeneuve, I think he's done some really good, like, I really liked The Arrival. I thought that was really good. Have you seen that?
I have not.
It's really cool.
I saw it in theaters, and it was one of those ones where I'm like, fuck it, I'm bored. And then when I saw it, I was legitimately surprised at how good it was.
Very hefty movie.
Yeah.
That you aren't expecting to be.
Exactly. They didn't market it that way at all.
No.
And Blade Runner 2049, we've kind of discussed this a little bit before, it's a movie that pays homage tonally, thematically, but then takes it and does something new and goes maybe a step or two further beyond what the original movie did. And I just rewatched that movie again and loved it. And it's a little more, it holds my attention better, as much as I love the first Blade Runner movie. But Blade Runner is a fucking slow burn. And it only holds your attention because it's like what's going on the screen. But otherwise, it just plays out like a really long film noir movie in the future that looks like shit.
And in that one, you've got, you know, the detective and the damsel kind of lady kind of thing. You know, it's going to repeat itself.
Yeah, it's a classic. It's maybe we could even say it goes back to Shakespeare, perhaps. There's certain themes of humanity that arise time and time again, and people that could take those tropes, do something unexpected with them, like Shane Black does, and keep them fresh and interesting. And that's what makes Kiss Kiss Bang Bang such a great movie, is that it takes a classic idea, it mashes a bunch of genres together. We didn't really see that much genre mashing before that movie. Do you recall anything that like mixed like 4 genres into one?
Nothing that I could think of off the top of
Off the top of my head, I can't really think of like everything was
at best
very.
You've got like action comedies, but I don't know about that level.
Right, because he takes his buddy movies, buddy cop or buddy like thing that he does, and then throws in a bunch of tonal elements together to create this whole interesting world that's separate. Again, I think it's completely separate from even a lot of movies that are being made today. Because even like if we go back to True Detective, that's a very specific tone. There's not a lot of genre mashing in it. It's a very like hard crime thriller thing. It doesn't really go beyond that.
Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
Hot Fuzz was what, 2000?
I feel like it was later than a lot of things.
Yeah, it was the sequel in essence to Shaun of the Dead.
Wow, 2007. So only a year after Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, basically.
So there you go. But Edgar Wright is another one of those filmmakers that's kind of his own thing upon himself. Yeah. Like he one of those trailblazing. I haven't seen Baby Driver yet.
Oh,
you have to see that movie.
Really should.
I know. I'm a terrible person. I'll get to it. There's just so much other shit.
I mean, on the other hand, if I told you that Baby Driver is about a movie where a older gentleman played by Kevin Spacey coerces a young boy into doing things for him, I don't know if you'd take it quite the same way. No.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'd probably take it the same way that I would have maybe even a few years ago, because he's always given me that vibe. I don't think he's ever really hidden. I think what we see on screen is him in reality, and what he plays in interviews and in real life is the act.
Who knows?
Like,
Hollywood in general is a mystery. I feel like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang made fun of that a lot. So did The Nice Guys. Just the whole culture of like the people at the parties who are trying to schmooze up to people that can get them the right thing, or just the bizarre nightclubs with people, with reindeer horns and stuff. Like
it's funny because Shane Black actually mentions his disdain for Hollywood culture. As what he recognizes, he was basically talking about like, if you want to be successful in Hollywood or be a writer, you have to go to Hollywood. You're not going to do it from New York. You're not going to do it from the Midwest. You have to go to Hollywood. But doing that, it comes with a whole lot of bullshit, Harvey Weinstein kind of shit that goes along with it. And it's interesting that when he did some sort of interview, like after all this shit came out, and his excuse was, well, everyone does it, and everyone still does do it, was his justification for, he never did anything without anyone's consent, so he wasn't rapey, in his defense, and everyone else does it, so it's okay. And Shane, I think, he alludes to a lot of that really creepy, gross behavior, especially in The Nice Guys, where that dude walks in and Michelle Monaghan is passed out or drunk or whatever it is, and he's trying to take advantage of her.
And then Robert Downey Jr., you want to take this outside? And then he
gets his ass
kicked.
I love that whole speech leading up to that moment, and then it just cuts to him getting his ass kicked.
Right? Throw that sort of trope on its head of like, is this guy actually going to take this bigger dude out? And the answer is no.
No.
He's an underdog, and he will be. But like, I think all of that culture happened, starting mostly 70s. It feels like like The Nice Guys really takes a hard hit at that, because if you look at movies like Hail Caesar, they really do glorify like 50s era movie making in Hollywood and just like the magic of it, and then it gets flooded with people and then suddenly just turns to garbage. And that's sort of the backdrop for a lot of like The Nice Guys and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang both.
So I think it goes back. I think it's part of Hollywood's history. So I watched a documentary on Tab Hunter. So he was a 50s heartthrob. He was the child of German immigrants, and he was promoted as the all-American boy. The big thing, the shock factor, is that he was a gay man in the 50s, And so it really talked about his whole, like, having to basically fake relationships in the public limelight while he was doing all of these things in the background to try and hide his identity. And there's a big controversy where he was actually arrested earlier in his career at, like, one of these illicit clubs where those types of people hung out. And that it was eventually came out against him when he wouldn't do something for a producer and ruined his career, essentially. And then John Waters resurrected it. But it's a really interesting... He talks about the seedy nature of Hollywood and how they're set up and how you've got the tabloids and you've got the studios and you've got all of the seedy behavior. So you've got, like, plastic surgery or affairs or drug use, prostitution, all of these things, like, kind of flowing in and out, even of, like, 40s and 50s era Hollywood. And it's his, accounting of these times, and it's very similar to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. A lot of things that we're witnessing really hasn't changed that much in 50 years.
Boo Hollywood.
Boo Hollywood. But it's creative people, and I don't support behavior that negatively affects other folks, but where business and creativity collide, you're going to find a lot of corruption. We have any other thoughts, any other morsels that we want to add about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang? I think we're...
Yeah, I don't...
You really like the movie.
I really do like the movie.
You really enjoy the movie.
It's so good.
It is so good. It's one of those movies, and I'd forgotten about it. I hadn't seen it in maybe at least 5 years since when we watched it together. Like, it's been a while, and I forgot, like, how good that movie actually is. And it gave me, and this is weird, but it gave me like a Chinatown vibe a little bit. Have you seen Chinatown?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think in what...
Well, it's the noir sort of like crime thing with the woman, although it didn't turn out that the woman was in on it and using
there
the guy.
was incest stuff happening, so...
Yeah. I mean, it's just maybe a faint hint of, like... It's like a funny LA Confidential.
I think we have underplayed how funny this movie is from beginning to end, from opening narration to closing credits.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
And it hits a level of, like, fast that rivals, like, the Gilmore Girls, like, level of fast talking, extremely witty. Like you said, like, they don't talk naturally. There is definitely some script writing that was just amazing in there.
And no one talk like how they talk in that movie. People don't talk like in real life, and that is the hallmark of Shane Black scripts. No one talks like they do in The Nice Guys either. Like, that's just not a naturalistic. But it's so entertaining to see in a movie, and it lacks. But it's fine, actually. I think if anyone else did that kind of thing as much as Shane Black did, it wouldn't be as good. So I appreciate the fact that it's not an overused style, that it's with him. Like, Tarantino is Tarantino, Shane Black is Shane Black, and there's how many filmmakers do you really think of? Like, we're talking about Shyamalan, but what is his style other than making bad movies?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like I said, there's a variety of crap.
Variety of crap. He is mediocre. He's a guy that gets infinite chances in Hollywood to make mediocre movies, which is amazing to me, where a guy like Shane Black was almost blacklisted out of Hollywood because he had one bad script. And in reality, The Long Kiss Goodnight is a great movie. It just genre mashed at a time that didn't hit audiences right, but in retrospect is an amazing movie. Can you really say that about most filmmakers?
My one hope is that Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer both love Kiss Kiss Bang Bang as much as we do. Like, that they look back on it and they're like, this is one of the best projects we've done, the most fun to film, something like that. Because
they better, because
it's amazing. And it's close enough to the time where Robert Downey Jr. was getting his life back together, where he's still got a little bit of those like mannerisms, like he is a little bit twitchy, but like he is definitely a guy on a road to redemption at that point. Like he's phenomenal in this movie.
His performance is one of those that he borders on so many like extreme emotions all at once that it's hard to really kind of like take in all at once, because like everything he's doing is really kinetic, but then he has like these underlying emotions that he's able to convey through it. Like I love the scene in the beginning where like he gets busted and he runs up and gets into that audition, and like the first, like he reads the first playthrough and it's awful, and then the cop comes in and like he just nails it. Like just that, the body, the mannerisms that he does, the way he does it, like he sells emotion and distress really well.
You know, like when he gets his finger amputated by a door.
That's amazing.
That's well played.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like he adds things to scenes where I think a lot of other actors maybe can sell that it's actually happening, but he does it. At some point, it seems like way over the top, but then again, it also seems really natural at the same time. Like you could identify like reacting that way, even though I don't think most people would react in the way that he does. Like it really shows like how dynamic being over the top. It's like if Jim Carrey really learned how to act, because Jim Carrey's always over the top and he doesn't do subtle really well. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
he would play a great like Dr. Robotnik per se.
But like he could be like RDJ could flare up to that level of like mania that Jim Carrey has, but bring it down and still be very human and approachable and still be charming and relatable.
Yeah, but I don't know about Jim Carrey entirely, because Eternal Sunshine is one of my top picks.
Sure.
So he's got a lot of range in that. But, like, yeah, it's... RDJ
So out of how many movies
do
you get that?
You have to mine down the ore a lot to get the whole
Yeah.
speck of gold to put in your Goldschlager.
That's a great movie. I think that's a product of where he was in his career,
right?
The filmmaker and how he was handled. Because I think you have, like, if you get him on a movie, you not just have to, you get him, you also have to find a wrangler to, like, wrangle him down.
And then you make a movie like The Number 23.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Did you ever see this?
I did not.
Jesus Christ. What a shit show.
Well, I did that on purpose.
You're lucky.
You've saved yourself some time.
You saved your soul. And I don't know what happened with Joel Schumacher, because he did Lost Boys. Lost Boys is a great movie. And it's not over the top. It's not cheesy. But he does Batman Forever. Batman fucking whatever the fuck.
Batman and Robin.
Yes, that shit show. He does The Number 23. He does 8mm.
He's just got a hard-on for Jim Carrey because you put him in as the Riddler.
Yeah.
8mm. That was a good one.
It was good.
In the world of Nick Cage movies. We'll just leave it at that. I love Nick Cage, so.
Now, does that place above or below Drive Angry for Nick Cage movies?
Above.
Okay.
All right. But like, Lost Boys is a great movie, where, you know, the other ones, I don't, what happened that like the number, how did the
Lost
number 23...
Boys isn't over the top at all, you don't think?
I don't know. I think it fits really well. It actually defines the 80s in a lot of ways, and I think the performances are not shit, and I think the material is mildly believable of its time. Like, I could still watch. In fact, I did. I rewatched that movie not that long ago, and I wasn't turned off by it. Like, it wasn't like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is such an 80s movie, I need to, like, move beyond it. Like, the Coreys did a great job. Kiefer Sutherland was menacing as fuck. Yeah, and that was like the movie that made him. That's what introduced him into the world, and it's a great movie.
It's no Critters 3. It's much
No
better
Critters
than
3.
that. A better start, yes.
We really do need to finish watching the rest of that.
Yes, we do.
That series, just so we can come back and actually do a show on them. I'm excited about it. I feel like the series gets better as it goes on, but I could be completely wrong. and I want
to just say you were getting progressively more drunk as you were watching them, and so the inverse sort of like the fun factor went up.
So I haven't watched. So we watched Critters before the episode that we did on it, and like I bought it, and it's
something you own.
It's something I own, and it's one of those things like I fondly remember that movie, but I don't remember if I fondly remember the first movie or the rest of the movies, or I was just a kid, and that's nostalgia talking, and it's filtering like how much of a shit show those movies are. Exactly. We're going to find out. We're going to delve into that.
We will have to revisit it.
Yeah. Because I feel like we get a lot more into the universe of those movies as they progress. We'll see.
Oh, we will.
We definitely will. We've got a lot of things that we're diving into. So any other final thoughts, comments that we want to add about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
I should point out that we did watch it in superior HD DVD format.
Yes. So, a fun fact, I said, hey, do you want to watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang? And you said, always. And then you told me you had it on Laserdisc, or no, HD DVD. And I said, okay, we have to watch it on an HD DVD player. And we did.
Yes, I still have my
Xbox
player.
One?
No,
you had the standalone.
Yes, I have the best HD DVD player that was available in North America, and I can't let go of it because it is such an extreme piece of engineering. And I have a few movies on it that are fun. Tokyo Drift.
Just going to say Tokyo Drift.
to name one of them, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang another one. But it's something that I won't get rid of. It's useless, but
It is a sexy machine.
It is. It really is.
And you have that thing, like, factory sealed, like, beautifully kept. Like, when you brought that machine out...
because it doesn't get used.
I take care of it
Okay.
well. It's wrapped up in foam. I just re-wrapped it up today and put it back in its spot.
You take care of your babies.
I do.
And so I thought it was entertaining that you had it like so neatly wrapped, so well taken care of. And we're going to unfurl this thing to watch one movie, and you're going to have to go through the whole process again after that and put it away.
It was worth it. The image quality, though, was really great, and I posted a picture of my HD DVD player on Instagram, and a few people came in and chimed in with, some of the releases on HDVD look better than some Blu-ray ones, and other people came in and agreed with that. So I don't know, maybe there's something to it, but it did look really good. I don't know if that's the format. I don't know if it's my particular TV, combination of the both, whatever, but it did look very good.
Why can't they combine the compressing technology of HD DVD with the format power of Blu-ray? Think of the possibilities.
It's to keep the poor man down.
I am constantly kept down, so it's working.
Constantly chasing the obsolete formats.
Yeah, but that was all I wanted to add to
okay.
it. The final thing.
I will say I have loaned this movie to people more frequently than any other movie. I think I loaned it to my dad 3 separate occasions before he ended up just buying a copy of his own.
I was going to say, buy your own damn copy at that point.
It is good enough, and you can always find it pretty much anywhere.
It's what I like about the movie is there's a timeless aspect to it, but then again, it's of a particular time because it's tied to the noir tradition. So the beats of the movie, I suppose, are of a certain era, but it's juxtaposed by like 2004 style. So it just has a weird timeless quality about it. I did notice that Robert Downey Jr.'s eyelashes are still really dark in that movie. So if you ever notice, there's a transition with RDJ that his eyelashes are like super, super dark, and like now they're not as dark. So if you ever,
you're really looking deep into his eyes.
Oh,
that's what you can do with HD DVD.
Yeah.
So okay, here's how I could show it to you. So Iron Man, is it Iron Man 3 maybe, where he has that reverse engineered de-aging scene?
Yeah, that's 3.
3. So if you notice in that, like his eyes look really weird, and you go back and you watch Less Than Zero, they did a really good job of reproducing it, and it looks different than how he does now. Just you look at someone in their face, and his eyelashes are just really dark. Okay, maybe I'm the only one that noticed that.
I guess
it's
so.
distracting. It was really distracting for me.
The only distraction or weird thing I've ever seen that had anything to do with someone's eyelashes is just like Brother Ali is a regular customer at my work.
Yes.
And he is albino, so his eyelashes are super white, and that just really sticks out. So that's the only thing that I can go off of on that kind of thing.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up. So until next time, this is Eric.
I prefer generic.